we introduced the 3 types of supporting evidence last unit. Now let's continue with the rest 4. Number 4, descriptions. The key to description is to think in terms of the 5 senses. Sight, that is visual. How does the thing look in terms of color, size, or shape? Hearing, pitch, volume, musical qualities. Taste, sweet, bitter, salty, sour, gritty, smooth, or chewy. Smell, fragrant, stinky, or musky. And feel, rough, silky, scratchy, straining pain, nausea, or heightened emotions. Description depends on details, or answering the 5 questions of what, where, how, who, or when. To use description, you must dig deep into your vocabulary and think concretely. Look at this example. It shows that progression. In next unit, on language use, you can learn more about description. Now please look at a simple example describing an object with increasing details. For example, you write about a furniture. And then you think, what kind of furniture? Is it a table, a chair, or bench? And you say, okay, it's a chair, right? A chair is more specific than furniture. And then what kind of chair? Is this a chair with arms, or it's a recliner? Then people say, oh, what's the brand of the recliner? Oh, it's Moon. Oh, I see. All right. And it's a rocker recliner, right? You have more information about it. And what's the color? How many years have you used it? It's an old blue. And what's the fabric? Velvet. Moon. Rocker recliner. See? You have more and more information, right? It's more and more specific and concrete. And finally, you come up with a full description as an old lime blue velvet Moon rocker recliner with an oil stain on the left arm. Oil stain on the left arm. As you add more description, 2 things happen. The camera focus becomes clearer, but you also add a tone or attitude. A recliner is one thing, but who buys a lime blue velvet recliner? And someone sat on it, ate, and was sloppy about it. In this case, the last expression paints a picture of a careless person with odd taste in furniture. See, and this is more concrete and interesting, right? 5th, historic and scientific fact. This type of supporting material is useful for clarification and point proving. Not everyone can distinguish a fact from an opinion. In science, a fact is an observation that has been repeatedly confirmed and accepted as true. However, it is never final and may be modified or even discarded over time. To back up your facts, you can cite who discovered the fact and how other authorities have supported it. You should cite the source of the fact and publication time. So we call that in-text citation. Please pay attention to the different lengths between historical narrative and historical fact. A historical fact might just include the date, place, or action, such as, this is a parade, happened October 1st, 2019 at the city square. Or you could say it's a historical narrative in which you will put more details and add dramatic elements. Number 6, statistics. Statistics are not just the numbers. The essence of statistics is analysis, comparison, and interpretation of numerical data. For example, it is a numerical fact that the population of China, according to the 2020 census, was 1.45 billion. This is a 3.32% increase from the 2018 census. This comparison is a statistic. And this is the way you're supposed to talk about a statistic. Statistics are often misunderstood because the science of statistics is difficult. Even terms like mean, median, and mode often confuse people, much less regression analysis, two-tilde tests, and the margin of error. So if you want to use them, make sure you understand what they mean and you interpret them correctly. Before you can use statistics in a speech, please make sure you have a basic understanding of them. Please pay attention to one common statistical error. People often mistake correlation with causal relationships. If I say the hotter the weather is, the more people get a toothache. Can you say hot weather causes toothache? I'm afraid not. The truth might be the hotter the weather is, the more cold beverages, ice cream they consume, which result in toothache. So remember, use statistics to support an argument, not as a main point. Okay, look at next example. Garbage dumping has become a serious problem. On average, Beijing produced nearly 26,000 tons of domestic waste every day in 2018. Were it transported by 2.5-ton trucks, the trucks would line up in a row as long as Beijing's third ring road, Sanhuanlu. This example ties the numerical fact and the statistical comparison to an argument. The goal is to blend the statistics seamlessly into the speech, not just put them there stand alone as a section of the speech. Remember, always cite the source of the statistic, using expressions like according to, a report published on, followed by publication, title, by, followed by the author name, in, followed by the time. An audience would have reason to be skeptical if the speaker cannot provide the name of the researcher, organization that backs up the statistics and numerical data. Finally, because statistics can be confusing, slow down when you are talking about them. Give more emphasis, gesture. Actually, they are a small way of helping the audience grasp them and explain them. Seventh, testimony. Testimony is the words of others. Some quotations are funny, compelling, or attention-getting. They work well as openings to introductions. Other times are more useful for proving your arguments. Testimony can also give an audience insight into the feelings or perceptions of others. Testimony is basically divided into two categories, expert and pair. Expert testimony. In an expert testimony, you will cite an expert with recognized credentials, knowledge, education, and experience in a subject. Experts spend the time studying the facts. They may not be scholars who publish original research, but they do have in-depth knowledge. They may have certain levels of education or real-world experience in a topic. In using expert testimony, you should follow these guidelines. First, please provide at least some of the experts' relevant credentials. Then you should choose experts to quote, whom your audience will respect or they will recognize as credible. Third, you need to make it clear that you are quoting expert testimony word by word or paraphrasing it. If you cite word by side, you need to say, quote, blah, 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 and then end of quote. So people know it's an end of quote, word by word. If you interview the expert yourself, make that clear in a speech by saying, when I spoke with Dr. Chen, principal of number 4 middle school on October 6, she informed me that, okay? Expert testimony is one of the strongest supporting materials to prove arguments. So clearly cite the source is very important to prove your credibility. Now let's talk about pair testimony, the second type of testimony. Any quotation from a friend, family members, or classmate about an incident would be pair testimony. It is useful in helping the audience understand the topic from a personal point of view. In the spring of 2020, a devastating pandemic spread out around the globe. One of my students gave a dramatic personal experience speech in class about surviving the pandemic in a building that was quarantined for over 100 days. She survived because she and her family were supported by local community volunteers. While she didn't have any advanced degree in a field related to the pandemic, this student certainly had a good deal of knowledge on the subject based on her experience. So far, I have introduced the 7 types of evidence. Now, given a speech topic, you may already know how to choose evidence to support your point. But the final effect of speech is partially influenced by other factors too. In the next unit, you see the importance of effective language use.